Hello, friends. Today we're going to talk about art of forgiving. The forgiveness is a beautiful virtue, and it can be a tremendous help on the path of your spiritual insight, spiritual quest. And why is that? If you really look at life, we all live a very, very stressful life. In general, in the world, in sansar, which I call everything that moves around is sansar, we all come in contact with each other. We interact with each other, but we have a lot of differences. At the body level, we are different. At mind level, we are very different. So all these differences makes the whole life very incongruent, because each and every mind has a different ideas, different thoughts, different beliefs, different convictions. And now you're trying to match it with others. Sometimes you find a match, and many times you don't find the match. And all these things create a very stressful situation. One time I had a patient, she came to me and she looked very obviously stressed out. And she came for a regular checkup, and I asked her, something doesn't seem to be right. You're so stressed out. He says, of course, doc, who doesn't have stress? Everybody has stress. And I said, no, I don't have stress. So suddenly she woke up literally from the trance. She says, you don't have stress? What's wrong with you? So stress has been accepted as a day-to-day way of life for most of the people, unfortunately. And not everyone can handle such stress easily. So they end up insulting others or behaving weird with others or getting angry on others. And sometimes you become the victim of all these things. So where does the forgiveness comes in? Now, obviously, the person who did something to you, you're going to feel like responding to it, even get back angry to them, or nothing for nothing, at least hold the grudge against them, hold resentment against them, and continuously keep thinking about them. Now, all these things are the negativities. The negativities are created when you interact with each other. The positivity is hidden within inside, which a lot of us don't know about. And that's why we recommend meditation to go within, beyond your mind. Going beyond the mind means going beyond your thoughts. So when a situation arises, when somebody does insult you or somebody does get angry at you, and you get caught up in this negativity cycle, you are suffering, because the ultimate goal of spirituality is to rise above the mind and reach to a spiritual zone of your soul. Because inside the soul, the consciousness, which is hidden, is spiritual. And because it's spiritual, there are no differences. At the soul level, we are all the same, because the spirit is formless. And when there is formlessness, where is the competition? Where is the hatred? Where is the anger? Where is the incongruity? Where is the suffering? Nothing. So going beyond the mind really helps you in reaching that state of joy, peace, and even a bliss state. So all these things are possible, but whenever somebody does insult us, we get caught up in this cycle of negativity. Now, obviously, it was other person's fault, most often, the person who gets angry, or maybe does some insulting to you. And if you really believe that that was their fault, he gets away after doing such work. And we don't even know what's going to be going on with him within his mind. But we definitely suffer by continuously thinking about it, because we don't want to forget what he did. So when we don't forget, we continuously keep our mind active. And when the mind remains active, one thing definitely happens: you cannot go beyond the mind. So even if you sit down to meditate, you will have to keep continuously, millions of thoughts will keep coming. He said that, and she said that, and he should not have said that. I did not say that. All these things keeps you occupied. And that's suffering. And that's outright suffering. That's where the forgiveness comes into action. When you forgive means forgiving is a new beginning, means you want to start a new chapter. After going through whatever you went through because of somebody else's insult, anger, whatever, it's not easy to forgive, but it definitely makes sense to forgive, because if you don't forgive, the suffering is definitely yours. He did whatever, he or she, whatever he did, whatever they did. But in response that you want to give, that is totally in your hand. And it requires some development of wisdom to realize that this inner suffering is the one that eats away your happiness. So forgiving should be done, no question about it. But again, we've been told so many times that we should do this. We should forgive the neighbors. If somebody who does hurt you, turn your cheek away and offer another cheek. All those things have been said, but there is a logic behind it. And the logic is that by not doing this, you're creating yourself a very, very stressful situation. And the incident itself might have become over within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 2 minutes, but you may hold on to it for months or years even. So it's not worth it. So the better thing is to let go. And the one who forgives is obviously spiritually on a more advanced state than the one who does not forgive. But there is something more to this forgiveness. Because yes, obviously, if somebody does something to you, forgiveness will be very, very helpful in keep yourself peaceful and away from the stress, and help you rise above the mind and reach to the zone of tranquility within yourself. No question about it. But there is another aspect to the forgiveness that we have to realize. A lot of times we do things, and even if we don't do things, a lot of times we think things. Now, when you meditate and when you go within, all these thoughts are going to be lingering around in your mind. Even if you didn't do anything, actually. Mahavir says that what you think and what you act is no different. You thought about something, action happened already. Whether the society can see that action or not, really doesn't matter. Ultimately, it is the mind that is doing the thinking. So even if that thinking does not end up in an action, you're still suffering. So whenever you have thoughts, bad thoughts about others, of anger or hatred or whatever, that also has become part of life, again, because of the stressful life that everybody is living through. And that happens. And sometimes that itself can create a lot of disturbances in the mind. And a lot of times you tell yourself that I should not think about that way. Why am I thinking this way? This and that. So thought itself captures you, and it does not allow you to go beyond the thought itself, beyond the mind itself. So also the forgiveness has to come for yourself. Sometimes this situation arises where we always put ourselves down. And that can be a much more negativistic cycle that can lead to almost to depression, stress, and suffering in your life. So in that case also, if you develop that art of forgiving to yourself, that is actually more important, because it's your mind you have to deal with. Now, if somebody did insult you and somebody got angry at you, but there is nothing you can do about it, because if you think that you want to teach them a lesson and you say something, he might rebut with even more angrier response. The another person is difficult to change. That person who was in front of you and did what he did, there is several decades of his personality development he has gone through. If you really want to change him, you have to change all these years of his upbringing, what books he read and what belief he's harboring along. And it's not possible. That's why forgiving is definitely doable in your own mind, and you can do it. But now, as I said, there is the next step is the forgiving yourself, because even your own mind becomes an obstacle in rising higher. It will capture you and will not let you go into the deep states of meditation. So because that's where the peace is, that's where the tranquility is, that's where the bliss state is hiding. So when you forgive yourself for whatever you might have thought of, even, you forgive yourself. And again, as I said, forgiving is a new beginning. So when you forgive, you are putting the whole matter to rest. And you're doing it after deep contemplation. In your meditation, if you come across some thoughts that you might have had done previously, and obviously all these thoughts are done in illusion, because false identity, you believe that you are the mind, you are the body. As long as you believe that you are the mind and you are the body, you're going to be part of this incongruous society called sansar, which is full of frictions. So all these frictions are always going to be there. So a lot of times we end up thinking along those lines, and these thoughts also come in the way. So you have to develop that art of forgiving yourself also. Okay, it happened. After all, they were the thoughts. And then even if they might have been the acting also, but if you can forgive yourself, that also can put your mind at rest. Let your thoughts settle down. Let your thoughts become calm. And when this happens, your journey continues further deep within, where ultimately, hopefully, you will succeed in reaching to that zone of the absolute bliss state, which is hidden within you. But for that, it's really necessary to be able to go beyond the mind. And that path itself is not easy, but we make it even more difficult by not forgetting someone, by not forgiving someone. So all this are our own obstacles that come in between us and our future peaceful that you can have in your life. Everybody is born with peace, but all the interactions with the society creates all these disturbances in our mind. And by us providing more and more support to that, it keeps on getting magnified, and it leads to a life that is full of suffering. So being able to be peaceful and tranquil and joyful is our birthright, which we have lost for a long time. So forgiving is a beautiful art. So always keep that in mind. If somebody does say something or does something, it's better to forgive. And because that can put you on a higher pedestal spiritually and allow you to continue your journey within, where the total peace and tranquility is hidden. And on top of that, whenever something happens at your mind level, at your action level, go deep, analyze it thoroughly, apply your awareness, what you actually went through, the whole sequence of events, and decide at that time that it was your own fault, it was your own ignorance, it was your mistaken identity that you want to forgive yourself. And when that happens, again, a new chapter starts. Meditation is all about starting fresh every time you sit down. So learn this art of forgiving others, but also do not forget the art of forgiving yourself. This is the science of forgiving in a nutshell. Have a good day.